Jim, all of these controls have made you a bit cranky this week.
Well, I think that when you unleash something in the weekend without talking to people who have been very respectful of the government, and then you come up with another story today, I mean, what are they going to do tomorrow? This is actually not the way. It's a very ill-advised strategy. It's probably our most pristine, fantastic industry. Yes, they have a problem with China. The Commerce Department lists 18 friendly countries, not included Iceland, not included Israel, not included Mexico. This is just what I call maybe the most abusive of an otherwise really stellar period for the Commerce Department. It's a shame that this may be a legacy because, holy cow, has Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD, but all the Lam researchers, the AMATs, they've played ball, they've done everything right, and it's not been enough. And this endless foray over and over with new things. Let's treat these business people with a degree of respect. David, this is what I'm talking about. You issue regulations over the weekend, which says that Israel and Iceland, there's 29 countries in the EU, only 18 around the whole world that are friendly. What is going on with that department? That department understood business. That department was one of the few departments in this whole administration that understood that business is the greatest source of social change and the greatest source of innovation. And they're being treated as if they are shabby fools.
You don't think it's just about concerning the fact that AI is an incredibly powerful tool and in the hands of our enemies could be
I think this is a blunt instrument. Why not sit down and talk with Jensen, with Lisa? Why not sit down and talk with the Lam Research people? What did they do to deserve this? Peter Navarro, yes, okay, buddy, pal, friend, Peter Navarro from the next administration. Even he, as hawkish as he is on China, would have more respect for the business people in this country. By the way, I mean, I think that the people who have played by the rules are being treated as if they've been trying to funnel chips to the PRC. It's the opposite. They've done everything that the government wants. It's time for the government to come out from behind the covers and explain why Jensen Huang has done what's wrong. Because that's the way he's being treated. Instead of the person who has done the most to advance us as a country when it comes to technology, anytime since, okay, Musk. Those two, all right? I am upset about this. It's like they do it over the weekend. They do it. What's tomorrow? Hey, on January 17, are they still going to be issuing things?
I'm glad you mentioned
What's
Jensen because
17 bring?
He did, Jim. He did knock down the quantum names a few days ago with those comments in his
now Microsoft
keynote.
likes quantum.
And then now you got this Microsoft blog and Nvidia today announcing a quantum day in March at one of their events.
Well, it's good. It helps the longs against the short. I mean, great. Quantum, I don't know. I'm busy trying to figure out whether Jensen Huang knows when quantum's going to play a role. I love the people at Microsoft, but the idea that this is quantum's hour, they're the only... Well, it's easy to say it. SAP will say it. The problem is it commercial? And there isn't anyone who thinks that the companies that are currently trading are commercial companies.
Jim Cramer goes on an all-out rant against Biden's latest strategy to restrict Nvidia and the global chip business. The meltdown was seen by many to be understandable, as recently, Nvidia has come under the spotlight due to its ambitious stride towards becoming the world's AI incubator. Analysts at Bank of America have been buzzing with excitement, seeing Nvidia's lead in artificial intelligence expanding even further. Is Jim Cramer right in bad-mouthing the Biden administration's latest strategies? Will Nvidia ever recover? Welcome back to Investocracy.
Sean, I got to get your thoughts. These big names in tech, Microsoft today, Nvidia. I mean, they're adding a lot of credence to this, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think they're both kind of offering two types of credences. I mean, if you look at what Jensen's saying, I think Jensen, here's my forecast. I think Jensen's going to come out and he's going to say, look, he's there. If you look at Nvidia, they're engineers. And so what he's talking about is the reason why people think he poo-pooed it. He was really kind of right, because what he's saying is there's the scientists kind of running quantum computing right now, but he's an engineer and his whole company are great engineers. And so you've got the scientists running the show, but he's like, well, how do we make this practical? So I think that's the message he's really going to kind of clear up a little bit. And then, Microsoft jumping in and throwing education. I think that's awesome. I guess my only recommendation on the market is, on the quantum side, we have a lot of scientists running the program right now, not enough engineers. And I think one of the things that we've done is we said, let's focus on engineering first. And so I think, when the market starts understanding the fact that if you start building chips that can leverage more engineering rather than science, I think you'll not only be able to solve the current problems, but I think the average American will look at it a lot more practically.
Hey, I'm going to get more into detail what you're doing, but just right now, I think the big argument here is like he was saying 15, 30 years. Obviously, that's nuts. The total addressable market, the TAM, and the potential timeline for all this are really, when this stuff becomes a household name because people are using it.
Yeah, no, I mean, look at this. But it's funny, he's got another point there. But if you look at the total addressable market right now in quantum computing, you've got companies with larger valuations right now than the total addressable market, right? So that's kind of an interesting concept. But I think what you're going to see here is a shift. If we have our way, you're going to see a shift because you want to start looking at maybe where quantum type concepts are going to impact other markets, and that's right. That's what we've been focusing on. So I think total addressable market doesn't make sense today, but I think it will pretty soon.
Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya, renowned for his keen insights into technology sectors, recently reiterated a buy rating on Nvidia with a speculative price target set at a tantalizing $190. Arya and his semiconductor team had the privilege of hosting Colette Kress, Nvidia's CFO, at an investor meeting in Las Vegas, and the discussions opened up a treasure trove of insights. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
I think you can't be sanguine. We keep seeing things, the last-minute things from President Biden about what's going on. This place has been completely roiled by what's going on this weekend when it came to sovereign nations being able to have GPUs, being able to have the key generative AI chips and accelerated computing chips. I spoke to Jensen Huang last night. I mean, there is just the CEO of NVIDIA. There's just chaos about what this administration is doing at the last minute. David, I don't know what the administration is doing at the last minute. It's almost as if they're just saying, you know what, we're going to throw up anything. We're going to do anything. I'm waiting for something really horrible, oil and gas, at the last minute, because that would be fitting with what these people are doing. I come back to the idea that we have one stock that is the elephant in the room, which is NVIDIA. I believe that NVIDIA has been hurt by the Commerce Department's rules. I think those rules, these are the ones that came out midnight this weekend, were a little absurd. They picked we have 18 friends. 18 friends. I mean, by the way, EU has 29 countries. What happened to Mexico? What happened to Israel? What happened to Iceland, which is the 100% clean energy? They were absurd. They were completely out of touch. I think NVIDIA can bounce back. But without NVIDIA, you have a market that's kind of rootless, because we know that Apple, the numbers look like they're a little bit too high. David, you know that this market survives on NASDAQ fuel, not on Dow fuel, and yet people still insist on talking about the Dow. I defer to you. How important is the Dow in terms of looking at what the market's really doing?
Not at all, in any way, shape, or form. It shouldn't even be discussed. It's just a marketing tool. It's a statistically insignificant index because, of course, it's price-weighted. I don't want to discuss it ever. Jim, I want to get back to NVIDIA.
I just didn't know.
The stock is up 1.4%. There were these reports out. They were out during our show yesterday, by the way, so I don't want to give too much voice to them, but they're around. The headline is basically top customers facing delays because of glitchy AI chip racks. You have any thoughts about this? I'm sure you're aware of it or heard the story yesterday.
Okay, story comes out when? The day when quiet period begins. That happened the previous quarter, the day when quiet begins. It was done by the information. David, it could be the disinformation. It could be, remember Pravda? I find that this kind of attack on NVIDIA has become standard. And instead, I go to Jensen Huang. Maybe he knows more because he's called the CEO. And he says that absolutely it's shipping 45 factories. They're getting them out as fast as they can. If anyone's complaining, give me a break. I think that is next to David Ricks's launch, Eli Lilly for GLP-1s, I think the launch of Blackwell is as successful. So I get tired of the attacks on NVIDIA. They bore me.
Yeah, well, they will continue. And you've taken, I understand. You've taken your shots before, no doubt. We mentioned KB Home at the top.
I've actually been on the right side of NVIDIA history.
Without a doubt. Nobody's arguing that.
When it was $2,
absolutely.
When it was $2, I named my dog Nvidia, and you caught about 133 points.
It's the greatest.
Last I looked, that was still good. Remember, we are about trying to make money for people. We are not a political discussion.
While Hopper, another gem in Nvidia's crown, continues to serve many customers effectively, Blackwell is eagerly sought after despite being supply constrained. Navigating its availability across 15 partners and over 200 configurations is no mean feat, yet customers are placing their bets firmly on this powerhouse. Even amidst these promising horizons, the Biden administration's latest chip restriction posed a formidable challenge that Cramer tackled and attacked relentlessly. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
What do you make of these newest regulations and the impact perhaps on some of the companies you cover, in particular Nvidia?
Yeah, it's a little hard to judge impact right now, but we can talk about like what they're doing. So they're putting constraints on the amount of compute capacity that can be shipped out of the US to a certain number of countries. There's 18 countries where they're sort of like favored nation status, kind of business as usual. Customers in those countries can pretty much build as much as they want in those countries. There's a set of countries, China and Russia and other ones that are under like arms embargo where you're not allowed to ship anything. None of those things are really any change. It's in the middle, the other countries where the interesting sort of dynamics happen. Those countries have very sharp limits on how much compute capacity can get put in them, unless the customers themselves sort of agree to conform to certain standards, basically, be good citizens and the like. And if that's the case, then those customers can build in those countries, but those customers will be limited by how much compute capacity they can deploy. So if you kind of run through it, it's probably manageable for now, but my guess would be as we go along over the next years, these constraints in general are probably unlikely to loosen, right? We're sort of in an arms race with some other actors in the world, and these constraints in general are likely to tighten up, and in general, that sort of thing it's not great, right? I think right now the overall demand for this stuff is such that this can probably be worked through. And like I said, it does seem like it's workable, but it remains to be seen how these dynamics will play out as we go forward, and whether and how these different kinds of constraints continue to get tightened. And now we have the new administration coming in, which throws a whole a new.
I know that career, right?
As we wrap up, what does the future hold for Nvidia? Everyone's eyes are keenly fixated as the company's trajectory appears to be steered toward promising heights. Many speculate the stock will not only hit, but potentially soar past that enticing $190 mark. But is the recent chip restrictions going to halt this progress or merely slow it down? What's your take? Share your opinion. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.